recording.
I'd like to call to order the regular meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners for the Park Ridge Park District. Tonight is Thursday, October 17th. It's 7 p.m. Please rise for the pledge. I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. May we have a roll call, please, Mary Beth?
Yes. Commissioner Bendy. Here. Commissioner Bowe. Here. Commissioner Halting.
Here.
Commissioner Leduc.
Here.
Commissioner Matza.
Here.
Commissioner Tunnel.
Here.
Commissioner Grau.
Here. Is there anything to add, amend, or delete from the current agenda?
There's not.
All right, moving on to public comment. Do we have any public comment on any public comment? We do not. All right, we'll move to approval of minutes. I move to approve the minutes from the October 3rd, 2024 regular board meeting.
Second.
Is there any discussion? All right, all those in favor?
Aye.
Anyone opposed? They are approved. Report of park officials, I have nothing to report. We have attorney here tonight, but I don't know if you have anything to say, Erin.
I don't. Nice to see all of you after an absence.
Sorts. Welcome back. And we'll move on to Executive Director Shea.
Good evening, everyone. Hope everyone's having a great night. A few general updates. Tomorrow, President Grau and myself will be meeting with City Manager Joe Gilmore and Marty Maloney to discuss the current state of the farmers market. Next week, IPRA and IAPD will have the Best of the Best Gala be taking place at Chevy Chase Golf Course in Wheeling. We are being recognized for being 110 years old. Both President Grau and myself will be in attendance. I've been in communication with Dirk and Dr. Ben Collins regarding the land swap idea that was discussed at the last meeting. Documentation has been taking place. So I had a little process to go through, but as things develop, I'll keep the board informed. But dialogue has already taken place regarding the land swap. I know I've been saying this almost for about a month or over, but as we continue through the FY25 budget process, I just want to express my gratitude once again to all the staff for the hard work. They've been diligent in preparing for the FY25 budget since June. Next week, we have our practice run through internally to see how the presentation goes. We made some tweaks to it as it was presented in the past. So we'll have a dry run. As you can tell with the TVs being on, we will be reviewing, or Superintendent Larson will be reviewing how to review the budget. Our goal is to deliver the budget book by the end of the next week, roughly between October 24th and 25th. Allow enough time over the weekend to review. If there's any additional questions regarding the budget beforehand, please let me know. I'm willing to meet. We do have draft documents ready in process, but either myself or Superintendent Larson are available to meet at any time to discuss the budget process this far and where we stand. Please note that the meeting does take place at 6 p.m. rather than 7 p.m. on Tuesday. We will be serving dinner. We're looking at pizza and salad. We'll take breaks throughout the presentation as well to give you some food and beverages. And once again, please do not hesitate if there's questions throughout. But staff have been doing a great job this far throughout the budget. We've made a lot of edits and changes since June. We're just really excited to show you the budget in about 10 days. That's all I have for
Great.
updates.
All right. Questions?
I just want to thank you for sending the budget earlier. That's great.
For everybody.
But as much as I like reading the budget at 9 o'clock on a Tuesday night, I think I'll be better at 10 o'clock on a Saturday morning.
Not a problem.
That's great. So we move on to strategic plan.
Yes. Included in the board packet was a draft strategic plan tactics that staff have put together. These outline the goals we aim to achieve throughout fiscal year 25 and was developed with input from all departments. Special thank you to April Hummer, Margaret Holler, Karen Larson, Allison Riker, and Terry Wolf for all their leadership in coordinating this process. Staff have reviewed it with their staff. The strategic plan is divided into 4 core areas: customer, financial, administrative, employee, and asset management. Additionally, included in this document are key initiatives that were set from the Board of Commissioners. Some of the initiatives that staff have proposed for next year include proposed fee increases, They have been measured and compared to local neighboring communities. There's roughly $1 million in capital projects outside of Oakton planned for next year. We have an operational plan for Oakton Sports Complex for the limited season that'll be opening in the end August through the rest of the year. An updating staffing plan for Oakton, Recreation Department, and Buildings and Grounds. Our budget goal remains to be maintained within our fund balance policy, which is 2 to 4 months of operational expenses, which is approximately 17% to 33% of the operating funds. And we also anticipate transferring $250,000 from the Recreation Fund to Capital Fund for fiscal year 26 projects. As you review the document, if there's any additional questions or clarification that's needed, once again, please do not hesitate to reach out. As staff would be more than willing to share insights and information regarding the tactics that are set forth within the strategic plan. Is there any questions?
So you're asking if we have any questions about the whole document right now?
Yeah, there'll be time throughout the budget process to ask questions more specifically, but it is a lengthy document. But we have reviewed them, compared the tactics to what staff have aimed to achieve through fiscal year 25, and also incorporated the board key initiatives set forth as well.
Anything in specific that jumps out?
Yeah, I just, in terms of the new positions, it seems like there's a, seven and a half positions that are highlighted there. Is there, in the past when we've added positions, there was a lot more conversation about the need for all that, and how will the budget be able to accommodate that number?
That information will be discussed in the budget presentation, talking through specifically what the positions are responsible for and how it impacts our budget with the overall fund balances. So those numbers will be shared with the board when we present the board booklet that gets sent out at the end of next week. So this is kind of like a sneak peek of what's going to happen. So when you're looking at the numbers, why are they going up or going down? These are the key reasons why. So we'll have more discussion regarding the positions during the budget presentation.
Yeah, I don't believe we've seen this level of information before, like the fee raising, right, this early, right?
Not this early usually.
Right.
Right.
Yeah, so we're not really sure what to ask about.
Myself and staff, we felt that it was good to give this information beforehand. So when you get the budget binder, sometimes you get lost in the numbers. And where this kind of tells the story before you get the numbers. So
Right.
you can look through the story while comparing to the numbers of why there's ebbs and flows or differences from different fiscal years to the next.
In general, it made for interesting reading. It's definitely different than what we've done in the past, and I like that. I like that. I saw what the board was looking for in there. I liked, that there were just some new things in there. It seemed like we used to pretty much boilerplate this, so it's a little bit more alive, this part of the document.
Staff had great ideas throughout the whole budget process and the goals to achieve. So it's been great working along with them and then seeing their ideas on paper as well.
I'm excited about a lot of it.
Well, I had one thing that I specifically, like most of it I thought looked really good, and I did like a lot of the detail that was included, but one thing that I specifically want to say right off the bat I'm not okay with would be the level that the pool pass fees are going to be raised, because they keep going up by, and it seems like by higher and higher percentages. I actually reached out to staff earlier today to in fact ask about that, and a few years ago it was going up by like 3% a year, and now we're up to 7%. And I really feel like pool is one of those, because at the end of the day, while we do want to be fiscally responsible and have money coming in, we also are here to serve the community. And I think providing affordable access to the pools is something that's of fundamental importance for our district. And especially when we have things like this year, the general consensus has been to take the CPI. And when I was thinking about reasons why I would want to take the CPI, one of the reasons for me is to keep our fees reasonable. And this is one of the ones, that kind of jumped out in particular to me as something that I was not okay with and did not think would best serve our community.
No, we always have discussions about increases and fees. You know, I've always been sensitive about swim lessons and the swimming pool because I feel like that's like a core, it's like a core Park District thing. And especially swim lessons should be kept affordable because kids,
It's a life skill.
it's a life skill to, stay alive. And then another thing that I flagged was summer camps going up and Beyond the Bell going up. I know we're paying our staff more, but I guess I'm saying those caught my eye, and I'll look forward to hearing in the budget. There's always solid justifications provided, and so I'll be listening for those. But I agree with Cindy, there's a lot of exciting stuff in here. Sustainability stuff, of course, I'm excited about, but I'm excited about Terry getting his staff back up for buildings and grounds so we can better maintain our facilities and our parks. So that's great. But I'm excited. I'm excited to hear more, and thank you so much for giving this ahead of time and allowing us the time to absorb it before the budget meeting.
First of all, you're welcome, and we'll address any of the questions regarding fee increases when we get to the presentation. We've been putting slides together, so it'll be more of a thorough conversation, no different than the positions insight on that as well. So more information to follow.
And if it would be helpful in between now and then, we could send you some of our comparison information for the pool
That's
pass
always
fees
super helpful.
specifically,
Yeah.
since that was a question at this meeting. Expenses are going up, and just with the minimum wage, it's
I know.
one of
I
our
know we got to pay our
biggest
people.
expenses, and trying to remain competitive, and just everything's going up.
It's good for us to have that
Sure.
when
That one.
people come and ask us, like out in the world.
When we hear the complaints.
So when we're at the pool.
But
Yeah.
I mean, at the end of the day, even if everybody else is doing it, I still don't think it's the right thing to do for our community, particularly given that the state of our finances, like we ended up with more money than budgeted for, right? Like the fact that we ended up bringing in more than budgeted for by a bigger percentage than our expenses were up. Like I think at some point, like if we're, taking the CPI and then we're jacking up all the fees, it's like, I don't want to nickel and dime the populace. At some point, there's some things where I think we say, you know what, this is important enough. I mean, kind of like how we subsidize, a lot of the senior programming, right? Like pool to me, pool access is something that I feel like shouldn't get out of hand for a family because, yeah, I mean, yes, Park Ridge is a family or is a community where a lot of the people make decent money, but also with all raising kids is also really crazy expensive. And I just see pools as something that, it's not like the rate is cheap now, and jacking it up by 7%, I feel like is an absolute unacceptable level.
I will say that, to echo what April stated, that all the staff have done a great job getting comparables. We will share the information with the board and look at it and have more discussion regarding it when we get to the board presentation in about 10 days.
And can you remind us what minimum wage is going from and to next year?
It's currently minimum wage is at $14, it's going to $15 next year.
I appreciate everything in advance. I echo Jennifer's concerns with the pool. Feel like a few of the amenities the community relies on, and while everything else is comparable, and I know we stay on the lower end of it, I'd appreciate maybe looking at the comparables, but also we were creative a couple of years ago with selling passes early for a discount that generated a lot of extra revenue, or even moving into having the senior passes or the nanny passes. I would like to see something creative again if we're going to push for this. And like I said, we can discuss it later, specifically about pool passes. The other thing I want to highlight is while it looks like we're going to be adding 9 total new positions, a few of them are part-time to full-time transitions, which isn't us adding 9 full positions. It's kind of just increasing workloads for those employees because with Oakton and with everything else, there's going to be added programming and added maintenance for the buildings and grounds. So, but it is still something like Commissioner Bowe had mentioned. It's something we need to discuss. While we're not, I'm not against it personally. It is like a 15 to 20% increase on staff, which it seems significant. But I'm interested to hear all of the reasoning at the next meeting, and I appreciate the document in advance. And for you adding the commissioner's goals that we had discussed over the summer. You had mentioned to me this week, if you missed anything, let you know. And I went through my notes, and it looks like you pretty much added everything we had requested. So I appreciate that, and thank you.
I do. I'll just add one thing. I do appreciate the transparency. I hear the concerns like Commissioner Ledoux about the fees. I'm always leery of that just when we're taking a CPI. But I will say the best part of this, we haven't had this in the discussion starting a lot earlier, so it gives us time to digest the information, be prepared to go into the budget discussion. And I think I'm really looking forward to seeing the data to see what the need is. And obviously you guys generally tell the good story, and I look forward to that. But I do appreciate all this information in advance. This is incredible. So thank you. I know you guys did a lot of work on this. Thank you.
Good. All right. You said it all for me. All right. Well, we look forward to talking more at our next meeting. We will move on to Marketing and Public Relations Director Hollinger.
Good evening. My report's on page 14 and 15. I'm just going to highlight a couple quick things. One is we did do surveys for the aquatics areas, including the pool pass holders, and recreation usually summarizes those at a later date and gives some recommendation based on the results. We're also conducting our annual customer service survey right now, and that's going to close tomorrow. So then we'll tally those up, and again, you'll get the results in a future date. I wanted to highlight something with our Park Ridge Friends of the Parks Foundation that actually is not in the board report. They met on Monday, and they approved funding to purchase timers and scoreboards for the Riptide swim team for approximately $9,000. Right now, timing's being done on mobile phones and scoring on paper. So we're really grateful to the group for funding this, what I call a wish list item for the district. And I know it's really going to enhance the growing program here at the district. So I appreciate the foundation for supporting that cause. And they do have a fundraiser coming up on November 2nd. It's their annual trivia event. It's here at the O'Connor Building. And you're all encouraged to participate or to donate in some way to the cause. So happy to answer any other questions if there are any.
You looking for the wine bottles again?
Yes, I'm happy to take wine or booze or anything you have, gift cards. Yeah. Yep. All right. Thank you.
You're a driving force behind the Friends, and thank you for all your hard work.
Thank you.
And it's great to see checks this big coming. I mean, it's a real change, so it's wonderful.
Yes. Thank you.
All right. Director Riker, HR.
Good evening. First, I wanted to follow up on the question that came up last time we met in regards to Stop the Bleed kits. The district currently does not have those, but it's going to be a part of the safety assessment we conduct in 2025 as part of our fiscal 25 budget goals. So that is on the horizon, but I appreciate you asking and bringing that up.
Great, thank you.
Yep. One bigger item I'd like to share and mention from my board report is the updated child labor law that will go into effect January 1 of this coming new year. It's called the Child Labor Law of 2024, even though it's for 2025. It, for the most part, mirrors the current child labor law. And what it affects is our 15-year-old employees that we do have a handful of in the aquatics department. Most of it's pretty similar to what it is currently, but with one exception, there's going to be a new requirement that when a 15-year-old employee is working, the supervisor on site that directly oversees them is at least 21 years of age or older. The district cannot guarantee that. So after doing a lot of research and analysis with the aquatics team in April, we decided that moving forward, we're not going to hire 15-year-olds for the time being, just because we can't guarantee it and the district can't have that risk. Gosh forbid, there isn't a 21-year-old supervisor on site, then the 15-year-olds cannot work, and then maybe we have to close a piece of the pool for the day. So we just don't want to have to do that. So we'll discontinue hiring 15-year-olds, but we will maintain the current 15-year-old employees we do have on staff and work with them to ensure compliance until they age out to age 16. We will keep our eyes and ears open should there be any kind of amendment to the law, then we can further assess at that point. We are disheartened about it, but we want to make sure that we're complying with the law. And then additionally, we started the
Oh, wait, I actually had a question.
yes,
about
of
that.
course.
So, I mean, I understand in something like the pools where you oftentimes don't have a 21-year-old
On site.
present, but what about areas where there is, in fact, going to be like a staff person who's old enough to meet the requirements? Would 15-year-olds still be eligible for hire there? Like, for instance, I know at Carpenter, the Beyond the Bell, the woman who runs it is quite older and would definitely meet the requirement. And like, is that something that 15-year-olds, like, are there still going to be positions that 15-year-olds could be eligible for? Like camps, right? Like if you have nature camp and you have like Miss Molly and Miss Jenny and Miss Kara, like all on the premises, would you still be able to have 15-year-olds as counselors?
Great question. Currently, the district only hires 15-year-olds for the aquatics department.
Oh, I thought that they were eligible for camp to be camp counselors.
No, with the ACA, right, April, they have to be at least 16.
I guess they just sound really young to me.
Has there been any engagement from IAPD or like the trade association on this, or?
I'm hoping so.
Okay.
What I've read, it sounds like they did consider park districts.
Okay.
As part of it, because there is an exception that they can work till 10 instead of 9 during the summer. So I don't think we were excluded from the thought process, but I'm hopeful that maybe there will be some engagement and hopefully an amendment. I know talking with fellow park districts, it sort of was very interesting for everyone to receive the updates to the law and to try to work through it. And those that do hire 15-year-olds are in a similar situation to us and making similar decisions. Some can support it in areas and some can't. But a lot of them are sort of moving towards this model for now, and with the hope of maybe something will change in the future.
And this was helping in our recruiting, right? I mean,
It was during the height of, mid-COVID when it was really hard to recruit. So it's been going on for about 3 or so years. Knock on wood, right now we're in a really good spot. Of course, we love having that opportunity for those 15-year-olds to start their career and, gain great experience. But, we'll work through it, and we're happy to be able to work with the current 15-year-olds so that we don't have to displace them. And then, any more questions on that?
There'll be sad parents of 15-year-olds. I feel like people are always
My
trying
son
to,
is turning 15
get their
this
15-year-old,
spring.
Oh, no.
15-year-olds out of the house.
Maybe something will change. But and then I just wanted to mention we have started the lengthy process for our part-time 2024 performance evaluation, 2025 merit increases. It doesn't mean anyone's getting an increase right now. Obviously, the budget's not approved, but it's just more so it's a whole process because there's over 500 part-time year-round employees. So supervisors update, pay rates, or not pay rates, pay codes, move them around from different positions from the summer if they're staying on during the rest of the year. Update that clean house a little bit in our system. And then the evaluations are actually going to be assigned tomorrow, so supervisors can start working on those, and those are utilized during the process when they do propose, see what increase they'll get based on their performance evaluation. So it's a lot of reviewing, so it does take some time. It's not just an overnight thing. So we started the fun process of that.
is that earlier than usual?
No, it's the same timeline.
Okay.
Mhm. Any other questions? I'd be happy to answer. Okay. Thank you.
Thank you. Move on to finance.
Okay, I'll turn it over to Superintendent Larson.
Hello, good evening. My report starts on page 18 with the finance narrative. I don't really have anything to add other than I am living in spreadsheets right now. I found myself talking to them during the day. They've become my friends. So we're doing a lot with budget. Staff has been amazing, both asking and answering questions as we're now starting to really dig into the review. So it's been a process, but it is really exciting to be so close to the point of being able to talk to you all about it, present it, and tell our story. So that's really what I've been spending most of my time on. If anyone has any questions about my reports, I'd be happy to answer them.
I didn't understand one thing in your report. Was the last line before IT. The district drew down $8 million for reimbursement of capital expenses paid through the general fund. What does that mean?
So what that means is when we get capital expenses, I'll use Oakton because it's the bulk of it right now. We're paying that through our general fund. And then when bonds mature, that money we transfer that money so that the investment matures and we get that cash, and then we do a wire transfer to sort of reimburse ourselves. So I do extensive tracking for that, and I report to PMA monthly what we've paid in terms of capital, and then we tie everything out when a bond matures, and that those funds can come back to us.
Okay, but I guess what I should have said is we're approving expenditures of $3 million, right?
Oh, I'm sorry.
So is it the wrong month or what? I just didn't really.
It's money you already spent, right? And then you
Right.
just move.
So,
it's
yes.
money we already spent. The bonds mature. We get the money in, and then she moves it over to fill the hole that was created by spending the money.
But it's a
Okay,
couple. It's a couple months, right? Because the bonds aren't maturing every month.
Yeah.
So often, and I'm sorry for that confusion, but yeah, that's what it is.
Okay. All right.
Thank you for asking.
Well, yeah, because I don't know finance.
Well, you say you don't, but you ask good questions. So something's going on.
Things are gears are moving.
Are there any other questions about the narrative or the financial reports?
Offhand, do you know what the computer cycle is for replacement? A 3, 5 year?
6 years.
Okay.
And it's funny that you asked that because Eileen and I were just talking about it today. So 6 years.
Okay, all right. I move to approve the payment of expenditures in the total amount of $3,189,621.37.
Second.
Thank you. Can you roll call?
I
Oh,
have
I'm sorry.
I do have a question.
Okay.
I have
I'm
a
sorry.
question too.
I'm sorry.
I forgot to ask this last month. I think it was page 10 of the vouchers. That's what we're talking about, right? Sometimes the solar credits don't show a negative, they show a positive. Do you know why that is? I should have emailed you. I didn't look at this till today. So
I'll have to look. They should always be. Oh, do you mean the invoices to U.S. Solar specifically? Okay, so we get the credits on our ComEd bill. So let's say we get $300 in credits. We can only keep 10% of that. So U.S. Solar invoices us for their 90% of that credit. So that's how this works. Also, another extensive tracking spreadsheet. Yeah. It's definitely worth it, as you'll see by my other memo. We're very excited. But yeah, it's definitely worth it, but that's why it's a little confusing when you look at it. So you see these big credits when we pay our ComEd bills, but we only keep 10% of that credit.
I mean, do we want to do the roll call on the? I have an IT question, but that I didn't put in. Okay. Should we finish the approving of the cash?
Okay, please call.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Halting,
Yes.
Commissioner Leduc,
Aye.
Commissioner Matza,
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnel, Commissioner Bendy,
Yes.
Commissioner Grau.
Aye.
sorry, I scrolled and it was at the bottom of the page, so I didn't see it when we were discussing. So I saw that cameras were being installed at the fitness center. Where were the cameras installed at the fitness center?
There's one at the back door so
Uh-huh.
that people can't push out of the back door.
Okay.
And do you remember where the other one is? Upstairs area, the weight area.
Okay. Are there existing cameras already there?
I don't think so. Well, there's some in the weight area for
Okay.
sure already. This was like coverage in an area that needed
Sure.
it. And then the back door, no.
Okay, thanks.
Mhm.
Approval. Oh, okay. I move to approve the municipal advisory agreement with PMA Securities as presented and to authorize the president to execute and deliver such agreement.
Second.
Thank you. All right, discussion?
This is on page 34, and this is the, as you'll remember, obviously, that PMA came to present about our plans for the bond offering for 2025. And this is their municipal advisory agreement. I compared it to the one we signed the last time we had a bond offering. There's no differences, other than they're changing their fee structure just a little bit. So it's just a lump sum fee as opposed to some percentages depending on what we get. Any questions?
Great. Okay. Can we have a roll call, please?
Commissioner Halting,
Yes.
Commissioner Leduc,
Aye.
Commissioner Matza,
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnel, Commissioner Bendy,
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe,
Yes.
Commissioner Grau.
Aye.
Okay, all right. Review, all right, we reviewed the, okay, do that.
Okay, so on page 45, I have a memo about the community solar. I did want to remind you that we did in August pass a resolution that allows the executive director to enter into these agreements so that we can respond quickly when opportunities arise to increase our participation in the solar program. And, with the caveat that we would let you know as soon as that's in place. We do have the final agreements. They have not been signed yet, but they're ready to be signed. And it's really exciting because we've added enough to be at 90% for all of the locations except for the fitness centers, you'll see by the chart. But to do that, it's 5 new solar plots and varying percentages at each solar plot. But we were really pleased that US Solar was able to do this for us.
I was interested in the names.
I know, aren't they great?
What the heck?
I know. My favorite is Cattail.
It's exciting.
Yeah, and I will continue, to keep you posted on I don't know if you were interested in that. I can include that every month, or because sometimes there's a lag with the credits, the timeline doesn't always line up with the billing from ComEd. I could do it quarterly. And then I'm also letting Lauren know for sustainability purposes.
It would be a good thing to publicize.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Yeah.
Okay. Do that, all right. Budget, yeah.
Yep. One more thing. Sorry, it's like the Karen show.
Just wait.
All right, here I am. Welcome to the budget. This is another piece that we wanted to start talking to you about earlier, which is just basically what you can do to think about reviewing the budget. So if you remember last year, we kind of put this into the same budget presentation, which wasn't very helpful in terms of you getting the document before the presentation and how you should look at it. So that was our purpose, was to pull this out, talk to you about it, just remind you of a few things, how our accounting structure works, things like that, so that when you get the document, you'll kind of understand how it's working. So the Park District has 3 accounting funds. Fund 11, which we call the general fund. It can also be called the administration fund or the corporate fund. And Fund 11 you should think of as pretty much covers the whole district. Anything that is going to cover the whole district. I'm in Fund 11 because I help the whole district. Park Services is in Fund 11 because it's across the district. So it really does stand for like just general admin type expenses. Fund 12 is the fun fund. It is the recreation fund. So that's where all the magic happens. You'll also see it referred to as special revenue. So in some of the reports you'll see in the budget presentation, I think in MSI, it's listed as special revenue. So I'm trying to give you, like, we all use these terms interchangeably and sometimes it's confusing. So if we're referring to something and you don't know what we mean, just ask us. And then Fund 26, also a fun fund, is the capital fund. So that's where we have all of our capital projects. So what's in Fund 11, the general fund? It includes general administration, human resources, park services, and then this is where the bulk of the tax levy funds are. So the corporate fund is kind of the Fund 11 tax levy. The audit fund, IMRF, which is our pension fund. Social Security, and I put in parentheses here FICA because it's really Social Security and Medicare, but it's labeled as Social Security. The liability fund, which is where most of our safety expenses are coded. Debt service, paving and lighting, and the police fund. So when you get the budget report in Fund 11, you'll see all of these, all this information in detail. Fund 12, the recreation fund. So this includes recreation programs. So Beyond the Bell, camp, athletics, includes the outdoor pools, the Oakton Sports Complex, the Centennial Fitness Center, which sometimes is also referred to as the Community Center, or the CC, as my son says. He's going to the CC. The driving range, the Centennial Activity Center, the Senior Center, as it's sometimes referred to. The batting cages, you will still see one report for the batting cages. It closed in 2023, but it does have actuals in 2023, so I just wanted to leave that there for you to take a look at. Next year, it will definitely roll off the budget. And then this Fund 12 also has 3 tax levy funds. Recreation, which is sort of that fund to fund the recreation administration expenses. The museum fund, which it's called the museum fund, but it's Wildwood Nature Center. And then special recreation, which is where our Manassar expenses are coded. And Fund 26 is the capital fund. It's all capital projects. So the projects that we're currently working on, the proposed projects that we'll be discussing for the budget, and then any carry forward or carry over projects. So those are the projects that you approved for the budget this year in 2024, or sometimes even a prior year, and have not been completed, and we carry those forward into the next year. And when you see a capital list, we will indicate which are carry forward projects. Stop me if
I have a quick question, and I feel like I've asked this before, but I forgot. The museum fund within recreation, like, is that a requirement to have like a separate museum fund? Is there some sort of advantage?
Well, it's a tax levy fund, so that's
okay.
the advantage. So like,
Okay.
if we didn't have a museum, we couldn't levy taxes specifically for just Wildwood as a location.
Okay. Okay.
Does that make sense?
I mean, we levy taxes to support all of our stuff.
Well,
So I
we
guess
do,
it
but
doesn't
this
make sense.
specifically is levying taxes that only can be used for
We can levy it directly for.
Yes, exactly.
Okay.
It is its
All right,
own
thanks.
separate fund.
Thank you.
Yep.
Are you considering any taxing for the History Center?
No, they're separate, completely separate from
It's a
the
museum, so I thought, okay, all right.
Why is there a separate item for paving and lighting when we?
Well, yeah, I don't know. Aaron, do you know the taxing history of the paving and lighting tax fund?
I wish I could say
I saw that eye
did.
roll,
It's
by the
like-
way.
I wish I could say I did. No, I mean the different levels of tax levy for different items change. I mean they're not changing all the time, but I just, as you said, like the specific levies and funds that can be created and supported through a tax levy, they're surprising. I would say, just as a lay person, they're surprising how many different levels there are. So I don't know, but if you're curious, I can find out.
Yeah, I was gonna say, I don't know the history of why it's created just for the paving and lighting, but we do utilize that, and it's a maintenance and repair account because there's a lot of specific expenses that go along with maintaining our parking lots and things like seal coating that would otherwise take away from other things. So we do levy and use that fund just for those sorts of things. A few of our, in fact, just one of the things we report on in my report today was for a lighting project, an energy efficiency lighting project. So that's a maintenance and repair item under paving and lighting. And so when that opportunity came forward, we had some funds available in that paving and lighting fund. We realized we didn't have to hold off on that because we had that money available in that fund. But we can only use it for paving and lighting.
It's exterior lighting?
It's generally where I use it. I've never, I mean, there's been no like, we usually use majority of that for our outdoor parking lots.
Yeah,
So,
that makes sense.
because we have a
'Cause
lot that we
paving
have to
and lighting are
maintain.
together.
Yeah, so. It's a weird thing. It really is, but we need every bit of what we have in there, so.
At some point, there was a very niche lobbyist, apparently.
Yes.
Okay, so as John mentioned, at the end of next week, we're going to be sending you the proposed budget document. Just in case you don't remember what that looked like last year, it'll start with a letter from the executive director. We'll have the strategic plan, the 2024 highlights, and the 2025 strategic plan overview and tactics. There will be some charts that start out towards the beginning of the document that break out, just so you can see, breakouts from revenue and expenses, operating expenses. And then we have the budget section review, which will start with a summary page, and I have an example of that in my next slide. So the summary page, kind of a summary budget, and the detailed budget report, and then it'll end with a capital fund and a list of the proposed project list, including any carry forwards. So that's generally what you'll see. Right now, we're building it, and I'm at about 243 pages. So it's what the bulk of it is really the budget section review, because there's a lot of detail in there. So the budget section review, this is sort of the summary. I chose the Centennial Fitness Center, and this will be, this is just a summary. So it's a very high level view of what's happening at this facility. You can see there's not a lot of detail, but it will give you the actual 2023, our year-end estimate. So remember, part of our budget process is always projecting where we're going to be at the current year end. So this includes that, what our budget was in 2024, our budget in 2025, and what the increase or decrease is from budget. So this kind of as you're looking at a section, this will be the fitness center section. This is the first page. So it's high level. Then you'll go into, oh boy, you really can't see this, Kim. Sort of. Then you'll go into the budget summary. So this has more detail. So this, for fees and admissions, whereas on the previous page, you just have one line for fees and admissions. When you go to the next section, this more detailed view, you can see what makes up that budget. So all the fees and admissions. Rental income, you can see there's room rentals, gym rentals, pool rentals, affiliate rentals. And again, that makes up the rental income in this. So it's kind of a next step, a little bit deeper into the budget. Then the final review is, this is from MSI. MSI is our accounting software. This has all the detail of the budget. So when you look at a gym rental, it's not just going to tell you this is the gym rental. It's going to tell you how many times the staff at the fitness center think they're going to rent that gym at a certain rate. So you can kind of see in the on the left side of the page, there's all of the detail, and it's a lot. But if you want to see this level of detail, this is where it is. And we try really hard as we're entering things. I mean, when I was going through it today, like, it's amazing the level of detail that staff enter in. It's never just pool parties, $7,000. It's very, everyone's trying to be very thoughtful and mindful of the detail they're putting in here, so that we're very transparent about why we're including revenue and expenses and how we're coming up with the numbers we're coming up with. So this is kind of the budget section. It's broken down section by section. So you'll see the fitness center summary, the fitness center detail, and the fitness center MSI report. Then you'll see the Wildwood, same thing. So you can just look at it section by section. So as I said, the document it's a big document, and I just want to say that there's no right way or wrong way to review a budget. It's really your personal taste of how you want to go. You can go and look at all of the overviews and then go into the detail. You can start in the detail. If you're a detail person and you're like, I just want to start going through all of the MSI reports, you can do that and then go back up. You can focus on an area of interest. If you're curious about one location, the Wildwood or the fitness center, you can start there and just dig into that. You can look at one specific like expense line, like program supplies or something, and you can go through all the budgets and say, program supplies seems really high. When I look at my overview, I want to see where it is, what's making it higher at each location. So it's really up to you how you tackle it. We're all here to support you as you're reviewing it. So feel free to make notes. Definitely ask questions. You can ask them during the board meeting. You can email us. Mary Beth is going to coordinate email questions. So we're going to set that up similarly to what we did last year, where if questions get asked that we can't answer in a board meeting, or you can email us. Mary Beth will coordinate it. We'll assign it to whoever is most appropriate. I'll collect all the answers, and we'll send you an email, send the entire board an email with those answers and responses. But if you just have a one-off question, like feel free to ask questions. That's, we want you to. And speaking of that, any questions? Okay. All right.
Anything else?
Great.
Thank you very much.
What do you dream of at night?
I literally do have had dreams of stretching. I'm not kidding you. Yeah.
I believe it.
Yeah. I'll tell you something later about making stretching. Thank you very much, and definitely, when the document comes, just dig in. It's really fun.
We're done. I wait for the presentation.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Thank you, Karen. Okay, let's hand it over to Commissioner Leduc for Recreation.
And I will hand it over to Superintendent Armour.
Thank you. Well, my dreams or nightmares maybe are of those tiny, tiny details that you saw on the third portion of the slide. And MSI, yes. So my recreation report begins on, there's no page on there, 47. Thank you. Thanks to the team who planned and prepared for and assisted and attended everyone, the Trucktoberfest. It was another really successful event, and I think a good time was had by all. Preschool and Beyond the Bell are doing really well. Preschool will have their annual pumpkin patch and hay rides next week. The gymnastics program, I had to point that out again, it continues to grow under the Hot Sport direction. And again, I know I've mentioned this almost every month, but it's really hard not to because it stands out, the Nature Center participation. It's just really off the charts. I mean, I can stop mentioning it, but it's really hard when you see those numbers. The activity centers had many exciting trips and events, and they're creeping back up to the 1,000 visits a month that we'd been experiencing prior to 2020, so that's great. And the fitness center membership remains above the 3,000 mark, and personal training continues to increase. And fall events are in full swing for all ages, and we've had many in October with many more to come the remainder of this month. Those are my highlights. If you have any questions, happy to answer them.
I had one question about the Beyond the Bell waitlist. Looking at the comparison between the 2024-2025 and the 2023-2024, for the most part, it seems like we have less. But what happened with Washington? Because they went from having only 11 on the wait list the previous school year to 39 p.m. and 3 a.m. Was it just more families utilizing it, or did we lose the use of an area?
No, I believe Washington is more families, but I can confirm for you. But I believe it's more families.
Because the day totals are mostly bigger.
Yep.
Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
And I appreciate you getting more space at Roosevelt because that was always our.
Yeah.
Always had a really big wait list there.
I'll confirm that for you, though.
I don't think I've ever seen the wait list at Roosevelt that small. That's great.
They're jam-packed up there. Everywhere.
I can picture it
Yeah.
in my mind.
All right, kids, let's play sardines. Any other commissioners have any questions?
I mean, this is lit, but my fifth grader, my sixth grader was in Beyond the Bell last year, and he made lots of friends with like kindergartners and first graders last year in Beyond the Bell. They were like his best pals. And he says he really misses the little kids from Beyond the Bell. So I'm gonna try to. He's like, I forgot what his friend's name is that's in first grade. So no, I gotta. But I think that it's a cool way for a fifth grader and a kindergartner. Like they were pals every Tuesday and Wednesday morning, and that's pretty cool. So it's just a story. So I gotta find that kid's mom.
I told John one of the Beyond the Bell kids asked me if I could make sure that he got into nature camp next summer.
Hey, I like the hustle.
He's a mover. He's like, "Are you the boss of anybody?"
Well, technically, there's one guy.
He could probably get you.
Hustle.
Oh, I did see the sad update about losing 5 of the swim lesson instructors.
Really last minute, so they're hiring and training and trying.
No 15-year-olds.
I know that happens a lot with that age group, unfortunately, and plans change and decide they don't want to work all these Saturdays and Sundays.
But yeah,
It's just a
having
lot
that
all at
reaction
once.
So I was like, oh man, because normally like I've been pretty successful getting my daughter into the swim lessons, and then for October and November she was waitlisted, and I was like, oh,
Yeah,
Now-
that explains
now
it.
I know why.
Yes, yes. Well, they're working on it.
Was there a reason for it?
No, it was just, we don't want to do it anymore. We didn't, it happens.
And then back over to Superintendent Wolf.
Thank you. My report begins on page 54. I do want to point out the one big highlight here with Oakton is that IDOT has acknowledged our existence. So not too much farther than that, but our project does exist according to IDOT. So we are starting to get a little bit of feedback, all joking aside. And so while it's nothing official, White has said that it's sounding towards the positive end of things. So still need to get official responses, and we're still waiting for things. But we've at least had some correspondence back from IDOT. So after many, many, many months, nearly a year of waiting, we're heading in the right direction there. So we are excited about that. As many of you joined us, or I think actually all of you joined us for various different tours over the last month, you've seen that the progress has been, coming along really, really nicely. We just had another meeting earlier this week, I guess it was, and it's still, every time we show up there, it just continues to, there's new stuff and more additions, and just it's filling out more, more walls going up and the space just becoming more and more defined. So it's definitely exciting to see how that space is taking shape and coming together. So a few other things. South Park. Seems like every meeting we keep talking about South Park, and I say, oh, we had some challenges with sewer, and oh, but MWRD is okay. And then I'm going to come back and say, guess what? We had more challenges with more sewers and stuff, and now we have more delays. And so, so as of right now, it hasn't stopped work, but we had some additional things that were identified as we continued with the work, and they are in need of a response from MWRD before they can proceed to fill in a couple of areas where we have, trenches dug and some work, kind of completed. MWRD has to say, yep, that was the right thing to do. Yep, that's okay. We visually inspected it, and then we can fill it in and move on. Until they do that, we can't proceed with certain areas. We're not at a point where that's impeding us just yet, but if we don't hear from them, like, say, end of next week, that could start to cause a delay there. So by their schedule, they owe us a response by the end of this week, but as we know, that doesn't always matter to them. So we'll see where that goes. That said, they are doing well with other things. So the playground has been installed, provided we do hear back from MWRD and the weather holds. They anticipate being out to put down rubber surfacing a week from Monday. So as long as all those things fall in place, that could get ahead of schedule. They were out, if you follow Facebook, you saw that they're put down some paving on the tennis courts today. They're unable to do the pathways as of right now. That's an MWRD kind of delay situation. So good to have the asphalt on the tennis courts, because that covers that area and doesn't allow for water to sit in there all winter long. They did identify in the construction meeting the other day that it is very unlikely that we're going to have weather hanging around good enough, long enough for us to actually color coat the courts this year. So it'll most likely be completed in next year in the spring. And that'll be similar to our time frame that we had when we did the Woodland courts, which got us done right around Memorial Day. So we'll be pushing for that, but that was a pretty hard push to get us there. So we'll be end of May, early June, probably, before those are going to be ready next year, is where we're looking right now. So so things are moving along, but just a few different, areas right there where the project's moving, but we're going to hit some stumbling blocks that are going to be, weather and temperature related primarily right now, although we might tack on a little bit of MWRD, but it really didn't matter for the tennis courts anyway. So it just kind of depends on where we go with some of the next couple of weeks here. So
Can the playground open? Is it possible the playground will open?
if we can get the rubber surfacing down, that playground will open.
Oh, great.
Yeah. So it really depends on what happens in the next couple of weeks, because we're getting really, really close to that temperature gradient and being able to do that. So, but they've got it scheduled, and it is that contractor acknowledged this is the last thing they're doing before they leave town. So if we don't get the approval and MWD is slowing them up, and we're saying you can't show up that next Monday, they're probably going to head south for the winter, and that'll be the last opportunity we have. So it really hinges on what's going on. So our architects are, doing what they need to do to make sure we're in touch with MWRD and letting them know that we want to hear back. But again, that doesn't always matter. So Main Park Playground, we did have a site meeting today to talk about specifically just a couple of punch list items, but one of the items on the list was the play stream that was installed. Wasn't quite draining properly, and we didn't feel like the design and the look of it met the specifications of what was expected. We had talked about that, I believe, when it opened, that we had anticipated it was going to be open for the season during camp, but then post-season we would have that replaced as within part of the contract, as the contractor we felt didn't meet the specifications. So we did have that discussion today. they did indicate that they're ready to mobilize next week on demolition and work on the repairs. So we're going to get that started next week. So we also found, we're really excited that we found a new electric vehicle. So we thought we were going to get a Ford Lightning as our first electric vehicle, which we've learned is actually in transit according to our documents. So we might go from none to two here really, really quickly. But we have a check, and actually staff will be picking up our electric van tomorrow. So I have to give our four-person Kramer a lot of credit. He loves a deal, and he loves negotiating. So he was doing some research for us for the budget for next year, and I said, this is all good. I said, but I want to be able to be in front of the board and say if we're going to propose gas or if it's electric or what are we looking at for the proposed vehicle for the next year for this van. And so he was doing that research, and he came across this used electric vehicle when he was reaching out to a dealer to talk it through. And he was like, if you'd be interested. And I was like, well, I don't know, look at it and see if you think that makes sense. And as he continues, like, I think this could work. He got the staff that would use it involved. He did a little more looking. The price was a little bit, high. And I said, well, we could do that. I said, it's just, we've got to go talk to the board because they gave us the okay for that one vehicle. I said, of course, unless you can negotiate them down so that it's under $30,000, because then it's within the executive director's authority to approve this. So he got it down to $29,999. So, which I mean, even as it was a good deal as it was, but to get another $3,000 knocked off of it, I was shocked. So,
we don't want to go to our board. They hate electric.
no, it wasn't even that at all. So I was really impressed with his ability to get that done, because that also includes the title fees, all, like everything.
Yeah.
So I was really shocked that he did that, but nonetheless, he did it. And it is a used vehicle. So, it's only got a little over 1,000 miles on it. But, our understanding is that, this was, purchased as what we believe was an enterprise vehicle, for contractors to use. And so for a contractor in our area to use that to go from one community to the next to do repairs with a fully loaded vehicle with all the equipment that you could fit in there, it just sucks the life out of a battery. We're just in town, so we have a different situation that we think this is going to work for us. And we feel like this was one that we had originally looked at and kind of held off on. And then at this price point thought, you know what, we're going to go ahead and reevaluate it and see. And if it really becomes truly a problem for us in the winter and the battery's just not lasting through the day, then so be it. We'll turn around and sell it and make do. But it wasn't at a difficult price point. But he seems to be convinced that this actually will work for how we're using that vehicle within town. So we're at just a different situation than what a lot of other contractors with that kind of a vehicle setup would have, because they have to go from community to community to community. So that's why we feel like we got lucky with such a good price on a used vehicle such as this. So I think it's a great story. A lot of people would look at that and go, what are you getting sold a lemon here at this price at this vehicle? But that's why we don't feel that it is. He took it for a test drive. He's looked it over. We're pretty happy about it. So.
What will you need for charging that? Do you need like an independent charging station?
So we do have chargers. He's got a charger coming with it that I think what he's got set up, and he said he had something set up for the truck that we have coming. So he said that he's going to have to look at maybe getting something else so that we would have a second one. But he felt like it wasn't going to be that much more, maybe another, I think $3,000 to maybe set up a second spot so that we had like a not just a regular plug in the wall dedicated spot for it. So yeah, but with that, with the van, it has a lot less use than what the other one will. So he felt like it might actually be okay with the other charger. So it's a little bit of, we'll see what we get with it. So we're going to learn, but we're happy to do it. So yeah. Other than that, I would be happy to answer any questions on anything else in my report.
Thank you. And I'll turn it over to Commissioner.
Nothing for policy.
Intergovernmental. John, you have work to do.
I move to approve the First Amendment to the Intergovernmental Agreement for Facilities Use and Operation of a Before and After School Recreation Program between the Board of Education of Park Ridge Niles School District Number 64 and the Park Ridge Park District, and to authorize the President and Secretary to execute and deliver such amendment.
Second.
Discussion.
Thank you. As we discussed previously, the intergovernmental agreement with School District 64 and the Park District expired. It is for this upcoming school year, the one we're currently in process, so it's 2024 through 2025. There's been no changes to the initial contract. We reviewed it with the Recreation Department, felt there was no need for any additional changes. We also spoke with Dirk Price to have him review this amendment, and the amendment has been approved. And the school district will also approve it. If you remember, when Dr. Collins was here last time, he said he would have it on the agenda for tonight as well. Unfortunately, they did not get on the agenda, so they will not be looking to approve it until November 7th, their next meeting. But he did call and apologize for not doing it. Apparently, there's other things on his mind. I'm not really sure what that could be, but he slipped his mind and did not get on the agenda for tonight. But we anticipate them improving as well through communication with Dr. Collins.
Great. Any questions, thoughts, concerns? We have a roll call.
Commissioner Leduc?
Sorry.
Sorry.
I
Drank right at the wrong.
Commissioner Matza?
Yes.
Commissioner Tunnel?
Aye.
Commissioner Bendy?
Yes.
Commissioner Bowe?
Yes.
Commissioner Holting?
Yes.
Commissioner Grau?
Aye. All right, is there any communications and correspondence? New business. I just wanted to mention two things. I drove past the Hamlin property today, and all the buildings are down, and it's seeded with grass. So it's just one big open field. And then also, I heard that the Sustainability Commission is going to put in their budget for the city compost drop-off pilot program, and they may be approaching the Park District for a couple locations, or I don't know how many locations, but we'll see if that budget goes through and if they want to use some of our locations for totes or compost drop-off. Yeah. Any other new business?
This is sort of it's an intergovernmental thing too. So the mayor is setting up a fine arts commission to, I think, discuss the concerts in the park. I swapped a couple emails with him. It's a task force, not a commission. Fine arts task force. Given that we have like theater programming and Brickton and fine arty things, I didn't know if it'd be appropriate for us to have, for the Park District to have a membership on the task force. In my experience, when I was in the Health Commission, Amy Murrin, is that how you pronounce her name, was the liaison to the Health Commission and helped us do the health fair, which still happens every year, which is cool. So I think he might have reached out to you, John. I'm not sure. He said he was going to email you, but I just wanted to flag this as somewhere we might want to have a presence.
We exchanged emails last week to get lunch, and then I saw him yesterday at Rotary, and he looked at me and said, I owe you an email. I'll get back to you. So we have yet to talk about it.
Okay.
But I appreciate the information. So
You're seeing him tomorrow.
tomorrow, but
So
yeah,
Since you're seeing him tomorrow,
I appreciate it. Thank you.
Yeah, we're doing several, at least 2 concerts already, right? Correct. Yeah, we should be involved.
I think it's beyond the concerts. You know, the point of it is to talk about fine arts, visual, performing, like all the arts. So I thought it would make sense.
Any other new business? Great. All right. Well, good meeting. I move to adjourn the meeting of the Board of Park Commissioners.
Second.
Any discussion?
All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? All right. Let's get that water here.